Katya with the weekly Pele report for April 18th of 2018. I have come from the ancient temples of Egypt and landed here in the ancient temples of Greece. There's the Acropolis in the background. I am on the mound. I'm right in between the mounds of the nymphs and the muses. And over a little farther away from here is where they held the first Senate. Yes, where they came and created democracy. It's a very powerful time for all of these aspects that are happening now in the world, in Capricorn, challenging the view of freedom, of choice, electing officials and everything else, and the leaders kind of letting the people down. Anyway, the moon is now in Gemini, and today, the sun is conjunct Uranus. Indeed. The Great Revolution. Yes, and tomorrow, Thursday, the sun goes into Taurus, the bull. So we'll be talking about that. And Mars will finally exactly conjunct Black Moon Lilith. And he's been traveling around. I mean, that conjunction has really been going on for quite some time. Okay, so it's just exact tomorrow. And the moon then on Friday goes into the sign of Cancer. And Friday, Saturday, she's going to oppose, Saturn, Lilith, Mars, Pluto, our whole Capricorn stellium going on up there. And then on Sunday, she's going to go into Leo. And we will have our first quarter square at 2 degrees, 42 minutes of Leo squaring the sun at 2 degrees, 42 minutes of Taurus. Yes, I mean, still in conjunction with Uranus. So, last but not least, well, not last, I mean, I hope it's not too windy here, but Pluto stations and goes retrograde on Sunday. Yes, along with that square moon. And finally on Tuesday, Venus goes into Gemini. So she's been opposite Jupiter now. She was trine to Pluto, opposite Jupiter, and now is finishing up those final degrees of Taurus, where she is the ruler. So she's been happy there. She's been a happy camper for a month or so, and now she'll be moving into Gemini. And by that time on Tuesday, the moon will be moving into Virgo. So we'll have a moon square transiting Venus. Let me find a nice spot to sit down here and talk at you, and see you soon. Okay, yassas everybody! Woo! I hope that you are faring well these days that are so heavy. I'm here with the rocks and the stones of ancient civilizations, and there's nothing more, how can I say, obvious than the reminder of how temporary cultures are, of how temporary leaders are and rulers are, and cultures and societies and governments and institutions. They rise and they fall. And if we work with evolutionary astrology, we work with reincarnation, that we've been here, that maybe we've had lifetimes here in Greece, that we've had lifetimes in Egypt, that we've had lifetimes in India, and then we are old souls, maybe having many lifetimes through many different times, and coming back now at a pivotal turning point in history, in the history of the evolution of our species. So we've all incarnated now, and it's a very powerful time. And there's so much to talk about today. I've had so many, amazing conversations, revelations, dreams, memories, whatever. I was talking about the origins of the human species with some folks there in Egypt, and my take on things as, yes, in the ancient of the very first mythology, cuneiform was Gilgamesh, and it laid out some of the Sumerian mythology. And in the Sumerian mythology, the great leaders were Enlil and Enki. And there are some who say Enlil and Enki were extraterrestrial captains, leaders, and they had a disagreement. They came to Earth wanting to mine the gold, and one wanted to create slaves like robots or automatons, and the other wanted to actually create a race that could procreate. And the big difference between the two was that if you created a race that could procreate, it began its own evolutionary trajectory. It's the birth of free will. Well, the captain that said, let's make a new race of humans on this planet. Let's seed this planet with a new race of human beings. One. And this is why procreation and sexuality, going so far back in the history of time, yes, yeah, we saw it in the Egyptian temples, you can see it with Noah. Okay, this whole ability of free will was born with our sexuality, and that sexuality is our primary, very powerful, fundamental, instinctive desire. Yes, it is the dragon, the kundalini, the life force that we're all dealing with now as Jupiter transits Scorpio. Yeah, this is a powerful year of transformation in our deepest, darkest, shadowiest corners, okay, of our desired nature. And we look at this with Black Moon, Lilith, Mars conjunction right now and tomorrow, and we look at some of the manifestations, we can say that some of the fundamental primary root, sources, of course, for our drives, particularly now as the sun is moving into Taurus and Venus is in Taurus. Taurus is the sign of survival, physical, financial, procreative, children, offspring, so sexual, okay, power. And it is a root need within humanity to be seen, to be acknowledged as important, as valuable. This is also a Taurian, second house, Venusian, Venus, archetype. Yes, of self-worth and self-value. And the need to be acknowledged is very much around Capricorn. And so we have conquerors, okay? We have bombers, we have fighters, we have world leaders vying competitively for more. We have greed, okay? We have hoarding, okay? In sex, we have lust and envy and jealousy and possessiveness. We have all of these, yes, root instinctual energies. And now I want to talk about the positive side of Capricorn. This positive side of this Pluto, Mars, Saturn in Capricorn is about integrity. It is about boundaries. It is about the building of character according to the morals and ethics that have been discovered through the sign of Sagittarius. The last couple of years, 2.5 years, yes, 2015, 16, 17, Saturn moving through Sagittarius. was a time for each of us to reflect on our own personal truth and expand that truth. Yes? And really grow in an expanded consciousness. And now that Saturn has moved into Capricorn, it is time to walk our talk. It is time to hold firm and clear to the character. Capricorn, Saturn builds character. Who do I want to be? I have the free will. I have the free choice to decide in each and every moment, in each and every relationship, in each and every encounter, who it is that I want to be and what vibrational level. This is how we can decide if we are evolving or regressing back down into animals. And I think that they basically injected some new DNA into the monkeys and that was the birth of humanity. There's these big huge gaps in Darwin's evolutionary stream, okay, where there were these leaps. Yeah, like all of a sudden, they're walking and making tools, and before, there's this gap. It's not a gap, okay, it's intervention. And so, what we can say is the lower vibrational expression. Am I seeking, okay, to conquer, to be seen, okay, to be big and to be powerful? And is it the primitive? Yeah, I don't want to get down on gorillas or monkeys or whatever. But am I really vying to be the chief? Yes, or the chiefess? Okay, the king or the queen? Okay, or am I wanting to, raise up my vibration? And this raising up of my vibration has so much to do with inner work. And this is what the mantra has to do with today. I hate to be, talking about doom and gloom, but let's face it. Like I've said before, and I'll be saying it again for the next few years, we are in a closing balsamic cycle. Saturn is approaching Pluto, the final phases. Lilith is approaching Pluto, the final phases. Mars is approaching Pluto, the final phases. Jupiter is even approaching Pluto in the final phases. Up until 2020, from now till 2020, we are closing a 4,000-year cycle since the last Jupiter-Saturn-Pluto conjunction. Endings, finish. It's chaos, disillusionment. It is the grand letting go. And we are going, this bombing in Syria, okay, and the news that we are going to be receiving from the government, from the media, from all over, okay, paper, internet, wherever your source of information is, there will be a plethora of negative, powerful, disastrous news, whether it is natural, unfolding. We have Chiron at 0 degrees of Aries. The last time Chiron came into Aries, Martin Luther King was assassinated, Robert Kennedy was assassinated, there were peace demonstrations for peace against the war. Yeah, that was 51 years ago the last time Chiron came around. So we're coming into this time period, like I can say, where we can be greatly distracted. We can lose our center. We can become overly concerned with forces beyond our control. Jupiter through Scorpio. Grand, big, large forces beyond our control. I encourage you. I don't want to say to be an ostrich that sticks your head in the sand and ignores what's going on. But your inner world, your inner reality, your inner vibrational frequency is what is of most greatest importance. Consider yourself as a lighthouse through a storm where ships are sinking and people are dying and everyone is lost in chaos. It is very important for you to not get lost in that chaos. This is where Capricorn comes in. I am a lighthouse. I am solid. My light will shine through the dark, through the rain, through the wind, through the earthquakes, through the media, through my family, through my society. Consider yourself as a surgeon or as a healer in the hospital. Yes? And the bombs are flying and people are suffering and the emergency room is full. It's important to remain focused on what you can control. And what you can control is yourself. And Capricorn has to do with self-discipline and self-control and really operating and functioning on the highest levels of ethicals, moral integrity, of really holding true to my condition and situation, and to really being there. In the old days, it was the father, Kronos, the great father figure. The 10th house used to have to do with the father, the one that lays down the laws and the boundaries and says, this is going to go, this I'm going to stop. So let's look at that mantra once, right? My consciousness is a chalice for spirit light from above. My wishes, needs, fears, and desires then color what I call love. There's a lot of love going around. I want to put love in quotes. Okay? There's a lot of loving going around. And as the sun moves into Taurus and Venus moves into Gemini, maybe I'll be talking a little bit more. I have some workshops here around relationships, around sexuality. Okay, Taurus is physical, sexual, sensuous expression, and our connection to our bodies and our physical world. Yeah? And so this love is our own impressions, it's our own definitions, and as we, as individuals, confuse, okay, old patterns, old conditionings, or lower vibrational instinctual components of our psychology, of our consciousness, we can confuse and mix up and say, this is love. Okay, when it's lust. Okay, this is love. Okay, when it's a conquering or greed. Okay, this is love when it's manipulation. This is love when it's escapism. This is love when it's blah, 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 blah. The list goes on and on. We tell ourselves stories to justify our behaviors. So this is a time of coming clean. This is a time of looking deeply into ourselves. As Pluto goes retrograde, we reflect on the deepest shadow elements of our soul. And I mean, the thing of what? Wishes, needs, fears, and desires. Okay, that could be, there could be more added to that, yeah? Wants, longings, fantasies. I mean, it's like we have all this stuff going on, okay, in our lower mind, in our egoic body, in our animals, instinctive self. And so we color spirit light. What's your favorite color? Is it gold, magenta, purple? It might even be gray or black. If you color it and you dilute it and it becomes less pure and less true and less the origin or source. Wow. Just some things that come up with these transits. This moon is moving through Gemini, Cancer, and Leo. This is this personal inner realm of my inner child, my inner world, my inner feelings. So let's not get too lost, okay, and look to astrology to tell us what's going to happen out there. Let's use astrology to look at what we can do in here to be all and the best that we can be, to be the lighthouse, to be the beacon, to be the healer, teacher, yeah, nurse, doctor, and really, yeah, be a gift to all of humanity. One more time for that mantra. My consciousness is a chalice for spirit light from above. My wishes, needs, fears, and desires then color what I call love. May you color very beautifully what you call love and experience it in every aspect of your life. Namaste. Aloha. So much spirit love, divine love.